Good late night to you from the west coast of the United States in Canada, North America. Actually, it's really not that late for us out here. It's about 8:32. We're getting started a little bit late. I'm yours truly, Rockin' Larry Locken, caught on the late night, pumping on the bass pipe, as the great NWA would say. And I've got my new co-host, about 9 hours up the coast from myself, down here in Oregon. And tonight, Raquel Toombs and I are going to talk a little bit about, actually quite a lot about her ascension symptoms and what the last year has been like. And we're also going to just touch on, of course, the groups that we admin and the Pleiadians and talk a little bit about how that's going. So sit back, put the kids to bed, get the popcorn a poppin', get the beer out, get the jello a jigglin', and we're going to get rolling. Raquel Toombs, finally, my cosmically cool funk soul Pleiadian Northwest sister, Canadian Pleiadian. How are you, girl? Raquel, are you there? Hello? Wow. Well, Raquel is seemed to vanished for a second. Let me try to find out what's going on with her. And one moment here. Please entertain yourself while I do a little bit of on-air juggling here. Raquel, where are you? Well, he's getting involved with technology. We have issues, and maybe that's her calling now. Hello? Hello? What the? Oh, I muted you on her. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Raquel. I have Raquel live on the phone right now. Oh, you are? Okay, well, you're on the phone right now. It won't let you. Okay, go and unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. This is really quite a scenario, people, and I hear myself feedbacking all the way from Raquel Toombs' residence in the.
Okay, you should be able to hear me now.
My goodness, we're on.
Okay, I'll hang up the phone.
Wow.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so that introduction, wow, that was great. So I guess that kind of took a little bit of the nerves away. I was doing while you were muted. You know, of course, I was doing some on-air juggling. I got up to about 6 pins, record best.
I didn't mute on my end. You muted.
Oh.
Hello. Jesus Christ.
So, yes, indeed, and he's probably watching too, as a matter of fact. So, Raquel, you know, it's great to finally have you on the show, and I know I look forward to many shows to come with us hosting this, but one of the main reasons that I've wanted to get you on for so long right now is because, you know, and I make this point all the time, I've talked to thousands of people with ascension symptoms, and yourself and another individual, but mainly yourself, you have really, the way you've described them to me, it's excruciating, and I know that we've had a lot of, you know, personal talks on the phone over the months about it, and you know, let's segue with, you know, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and, you know, and how these symptoms started. Of course, after I give you a plug, and okay, Raquel is also the admin for Canadian Pleiadian, the head admin, and she's also part of the admin team for the mothership group, Leah Shapiro's Pleiadians. So Raquel, with that being said, take it away, girl, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Well, you know about my history. I was heroin addict. I had diagnosed with mental illness, physical illnesses, and one day I just stopped doing everything. I just had no desire to do everything, and it wasn't a conscious decision. I didn't know what was going on with me. I called 911 like I think 9 times during the first week. I went through my heart rate slowing down, pretty well stopping and not breathing for like a long period of time. My body would just be cold, but I was still here, and I thought, like, what is going on? I just couldn't understand it, and that happened like 4 or 5 times. And then after that, it was like a lot of the physical was mostly, well, everything, but it was the heart. It was the breathing totally changed. Like, my capacity to breathe is just absolutely phenomenal. And before this, I had chronic bronchitis and asthma. They figured I probably had COPD. And excuse me. And now, like, I was on so many inhalers and stuff, and now my breathing is just amazing. Like, it's just absolutely amazing. And so that's one of the really good things about it. Then there was sudden and guided movements. Like, just I'd be lying here, and all of a sudden I'd just kind of jump up, and my body would just move on its own accord, which led to rapid muscle development, which was good, and weight loss, which was also good. There's a lot of pain and pressure in the bones, in the joints, especially the top of the neck, the base of the skull, the top of the shoulders. And I just find that you just got to let your body move. You got to get out of the way and just let your body move, because I'm becoming like more flexible, and my bone density has changed. It's kind of like I still get a lot of like clicking and cracking in my skull, and I joke with my friend Janice that I've got my space helmet now, because the density of my bones have changed, particularly my skull.
Yeah, exactly. And just to kind of tell everybody how serious this was, some of the phone calls I had with Raquel 6, 7, 8 months ago, when this was going on, I mean, this was a process for her, and she didn't know what the hell was going on at first. And I mean, I remember one time, and I'll hate to tell you this funny story, when you called, you're like, God, I don't know, I think I'm turning into a bird or something, and I'm going to end up at the zoo, because you just felt like your cranium changing and all that. Do you remember you called me? You just, like, you were going through all this, the vibrations were loud, your bones were popping out, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to end up at the damn zoo. And I'm like, no. I was so concerned for you, but I tried not laughing, but I was like, I could relate to what you were going through.
Well, in the beginning, it really felt like I seriously thought, oh my God, aliens are coming to abduct me or something, because I didn't feel like there was really going to be any place for me in this world. Because with I don't know about others' awakening experiences, whether it was like a gentle nudge or gradual. For me, it was just like higher self or whatever stepped in and said, she just shook me and said, you know what, you're going to die if you continue to do this. You're not living this way. Bang, and it was like overnight. So it wasn't a gentle nudge, and it totally, like, it took a long time, because what I went through was so harsh. I was in like higher self more so than lower self, so it was really hard to even do like cleaning around my house or spelling or really anything down here. It took me a long time to readjust to living down here. Noises. Everything was so loud, it would just freak me out. Lights were so bright. The feeling of clothing, fabric on my skin was just almost, I just couldn't stand it. And so basically it was like a rebirthing. It was relearning. Like this one night I'm lying on the couch and I had to relearn how to eat and everything, and I live with my mom and what to eat and stuff. And I made the mistake of eating something I shouldn't have, and I threw up, and I'm lying on the couch, and it's like, oh my God, I didn't even know I was going to throw up, and I just, it's like I was a baby. It's like I was totally reborn, and I had to relearn how to do everything. It's been, excuse me, it's been a really intense process, and it took probably from the beginning of that, it took probably about 4 or 5 months until I could even really go out in public a lot, or, start really doing housework again, or start, learning, not just knowing what I was doing down here, because for that long of amount of time, I thought there's no place for me down here anymore. I just didn't.
Yeah, except for the zoo that you except for the zoo you thought you were going to go into. And and I remember that night too. You'd mentioned you thought the aliens were coming to get you at any time because it was just so intense. And then when we got off the phone that night, I remember it was really loud out here on the West Coast. There was some other shit going on that night, and I'm like, God damn, the intensity was coming back to me that I'd had a couple years ago. Not quite what you did because it was gradual for me, but I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I had this like weird, creepy feeling, like, oh God, are they going to pick me up yet? And I could imagine how intense you felt, like you were going to get picked up at any time now. And and the next day, I talked to you again or 2 days later, and you were really, you were like better and shit. So it was like those nights, those ascension nights, and just yeah, I remember like wondering what the hell's going on. Are the Greys here to abduct me? They're not going to get me, those motherfuckers. And it's like, it's just really seriously intense. And I know that I remember we had talked and you were going into the doctor for some x-rays, and I'm sitting there all proud. I'm telling you, no, don't mention to him any of these things you're telling me. And you're like, yeah, I know that. Don't tell him all the shit that you think you're going through and stuff. Just go with it. You knew all that already, but it's like, so again, how did that turn out? You went in, right, and had some bone x-rays, didn't you?
Yeah, I went in and had a chest x-ray because I found that is it sternum? Is that what it's called? Just right in.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, the density of it's totally changed, and I've got muscles, and it's totally different. Don't really know how to explain it, but it's different. So when they did the x-ray, he just said everything looks fine because I didn't know what to tell them at the doctor. So basically I just said I've been having discomfort after I eat whatever. So I don't know exactly what they were looking for, but he said, no, everything turned out, it's fine. But since that has happened, I want to tell you about the stranger things that, and my friend Janice, she's been going through this for a couple years now, but I didn't know anything about this. And at the beginning, I didn't research. I didn't dive into research. And it was a really good thing that I didn't, because had I have done that, I would have been scared shitless, like more so than I was. Basically I had to just face all the fears I had, especially that one night there was a knock on my balcony door. We live on the 3rd floor. There was a loud knock on my balcony door, and that freaked me out. And then my mom was seeing lights on the balcony and hearing noises all the time. But I think, had I dived into research and heard all these things about dark psychic attacks and the dark side and all these different, it would have made things way worse, way worse. So to me, I just, back when I was using and stuff and going to counseling, I learned about mindfulness, and my psychiatrist, he was kind of more of an Eastern philosophy type of guy. He was awesome. And he just about having overwhelming emotions and stress and stuff and panic attacks, he would just always tell me, allow yourself to feel everything you're feeling in totally non-judgmental point of view. Don't judge anything as good or bad, just feel it. And that's been the most important thing so far, like with my body just kind of like I had to step aside and I'm in the passenger seat and whatever's driving, right? And so I'm not, I don't label or judge any of my experiences, and I think that's really what gets me through because, as well as the physical changes, there's also, hearing the different frequencies, not only different frequencies and frequency changes, but also you're hearing, sounds that are from other dimensions. So there's banging, there's sometimes voices, there's sometimes music, and then seeing the sights. You'd be sitting here, and all of a sudden you'll see, the ceiling almost open up or something black, just tracers go whipping by, the room. And I mean, that can be pretty freaky. And I know a lot of people, that scares a lot of people, and they kind of perceive that, as dark or whatever. I don't, it's irritating when you're lying here or whatever, and especially at night, you're lying here relaxing, watching Netflix or something, and you see these tracers go by out of the corner of your eye. You can see that can scare the hell out of someone. But the most important thing, to remember is that it's not good or bad. It just is. It just is, right? It really helps to prevent you from freaking out.
Yeah, it really just is. And I wanted to go back to the point a little bit because I know in the beginning I'm like, every once in a while I was like, well, you ought to read Bringers of the Dawn, or you ought to read The 12th Planet, or you ought to take this. And you were really steadfast and adamant about, no, I need to go through this on my own. And, with most people, it would have just been stubborn. But now I see the result, and I realize that, you really did need to, and with your personality and your past, you probably would have just freaked you out to read these books, and then, of course, read all these negative things that people are trying to send you about this and that, and the Anunnaki, and, and all that, and you would have got hung up on something like that and not let your spiritual growth develop. But I like what you said to me, too, one night on the phone about the tuning into these frequencies around, right? It's not only from space, but different dimensions, and they're just there, and it just is. And it's really awesome that you had a psychiatrist that had that kind of Eastern philosophy instead of just, oh, well, here, Raquel, here's a prescription for whatever, for Prozac or some sugar pill or whatever. Here's something to pass you out, or here's something to mess with your mentality. But yeah, exactly. It's like we're tuning into these radio stations, and it just, you got to let it be and let it kind of come to you. And I think you really did a great job in doing that. And I know on Facebook you probably got barraged constantly with, well, Raquel, read this, or, here, look at this, hear what this person has to say. And I know I was really adamant about you reading Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara Marciniak, and, it was kind of, you thought it was kind of okay to listen to, but it's all old news. This is all shit you already know, and stuff like that. And I know with where we live, it's a total Lemurian Pleiadian portal on that west coast, Oregon, Washington. That really worked. A lot of people that doesn't really work for. They have to have a little advice or this. Man, yeah, you're really testament to just going it alone and letting it come to you.
Having the advice, I mean, it's all been, the synchronicity has been incredible. You still there?
Yes, indeed.
Sorry. So, yeah, though the synchronicity is awesome because everything, like all the information came to me at the exact time that I was ready for it. Like within the groups and stuff, I didn't, go to Google and get right into the research or whatever. I just, I would share what I was going through, but I was very, very selective. Even in talking to people, it's like, no, don't talk to me about that because I'm figuring it out, right? But everything that I've needed has come to me from, the people that I've met and the people in the groups at the exact time that I needed it. And so it's been, essential. And I really don't know what I'd do without the Pleiadian groups. And, without, I mean, Facebook has been a wonderful tool for all of us to connect and learn. But yeah, it's just, a process of remembering. And also, if you go out and research and dive right into it, that's kind of the old paradigm. Like we're in a totally new time now. So all the research that's being done, it's you're going to be learning someone else's experience, and then because of that, you're going to label your experience. So I think you should just kind of keep yourself open and free, because otherwise you're just going to have to unlearn all that crap that you researched in order to get to the truth that your soul knows.
Exactly, yeah, and and for me, part of it was I delved into a little of the research, but I only would catch what would resonate with me, what was guided to me, in my case, and I would take what resonated with me. Okay, that's cool, but it wouldn't make me go, well, oh shit, well then that person must know it all. Well, if I resonate with this, and well, if they told me to jump off a bridge, well, gee, I better do that too. I don't, people get hung up on what this person said, what that person said, what Barbara Marciniak said, all these names. You hear, well, this guy said this guy said that, Andrew Bartz said this, Alfred Wembley, Penn Ray, I mean, all these people, Dolores Cannon, well, that was their thing, it was their thing. If you want to go into that, it's a good reference entertainment tool, but it just goes to show that you've got to go within, and I think we're in a time now where we're all stepping up to that level, and it doesn't matter what this motherfucker said or that motherfucker said. It's about going within, and the minute you start name dropping, and the minute you, what do you think? Who gives a shit what they think? What do you think? What do you feel? Mm-hmm. And I think you're a living testament to that, of not jumping. And I would say this too, as much as, we kid around and joke about Facebook, call it Facebook or whatever. What a great tool. What a great godsend of a tool, prime creator send of a tool for us to connect, because at the very least, it was a spark that really ignited this.
Yes.
And I totally agree with you, but back to the point, it's like, yeah, you just innately knew not to, you'd even tell me, you're like, no, I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to know. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
You're
yeah,
like,
I know.
Then finally I think I hit you with one time, I'm like, you got to read Bringers of the Dawn. and then you kind of listen to it like, yeah, it's cool, but you know, shit, I mean, I passed that 5 miles back. So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to add that in too, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, actually, my son bought me the Bringers of the Dawn book for Christmas, and it's amazing because actually, even just before we started this call, my neck kind of started moving from side to side as it does because the bones are shifting. But higher self, just I felt my vibrations, and I felt like way, way higher as soon as we just started this call. But I also find that with reading Bringers of the Dawn, there's some things of it when I read it. It's like it automatically lifts my vibrations just go whoosh right up like as soon as I just start reading the book, and it's really amazing because it's wonderful to read it, and you're not learning anything new. It's everything that I've known and everything that I've been talking about and everything that I believe, and bang, it's all right there. It's absolutely wonderful.
What an articulation. My trouble is articulating things. You just described what I was thinking. It Bringers of the Dawn, I know that I usually do the interviewing, but I had an interview interviewed me about my experiences, and the night before I had that interview, I just got in a zone and listened to both her books, and it's just resonating like that, right? It's like it's the first thing that they basically Barbara says is you're not learning anything new. You're remembering this stuff, and it's a resonating thing. I totally agree with you on that. So that's a good point to bring up about Bringers of the Dawn. It's just a nice resonating tool, and right away that you're from that ilk if it resonates with you and lifts you up, right? You're not learning anything. Well, God, I didn't know that. If anything, maybe you'll see something like, well, shit, I've always known that. Great way to put it. But that's a great way to put it, right? And then there's special books out there like that, very few, but like hers. And then there's just so much other minutia out there, some good, some bad. Some just some resonate, some don't. But you just got to take it with a grain of salt and go within and go through your process and not get hung up in these arguments on Facebook of who said what and this guy's right and I think this and I think that. I mean, the minute that you think that the minute that you think you know anything is really the, key to showing that you're really not ready to evolve as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
Do you? That's good. I like it when people are quoting the not so great George W. Bush. But how do one thing I wanted to ask you about too? How do you feel? Do you feel Canadians I know I don't want to generalize. And you take to this, whether not just per se like your son or your mom or your friend, close friends, but when you talk about this to people around you, I mean, what is their attitude like? Is it open-minded at least? Is it, oh, you're nuts? Do you see it improving? I mean,
well, it's just my mom and Janice, my friend Janice, and like I was saying, she's been going through this for the past couple years, but it's been pretty, it's been gradual for her, and she does body talk on me, and so she's been documenting my process pretty well since the beginning. So it's wonderful to have her because she didn't exactly know what was going on with her, and of course, back then we didn't really have no reason to talk about it, and I wouldn't have been able to relate back then. But now it's all falling into place, wonderfully. And my mom just because of my awakening, what's going on with me, it's definitely like my mom's waking up right alongside me, like her eating habits, like everything has changed. She's really open to a lot more stuff than she was, and that's because she's been here with me the whole time too. My son, it's fear for him. It's fear. He doesn't know what's going on. At the beginning, he said to me, well, what the hell, what are you turning into, a superhuman or something? I'm kind of like, yeah, maybe. But no, it scares him, so he doesn't even want to talk about it, and I don't see him very much at all. So, at least I've got my mom and Janice that are going through it with me. But besides that, I really can't talk about it to anyone else in my physical life because nobody else can relate.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's really hard to talk to people that don't get it, and you just get to the point where, at first, like me, I made the mistake of awakening and being real excited and thinking everybody was seeing the same shit that I was, seeing the same different UFOs in the sky and getting the same information I have, but they really weren't. And then I thought I was going to crazy, but then I saw others on YouTube, that I was directed to through spirit, like Alger and people like that were seeing the same things I were and getting the same channelings I was and posting them. Like a couple weeks after I'd gotten the same consciousness come to me telepathically and realized through the Pleiadians, and which ties into this point too. You take some really great pictures, like you weren't seeing these orbs, but then you take these photos and there the orbs would be, and you had all these orbs, the same ones that I would see in contact, and really they're all over, and they're really thick, like I said, in the Pacific Northwest here where we're at. And yeah, and it's like people, I just had to kind of laugh. It doesn't even make me angry anymore, all the comments that, you would get, 100 great comments, but you'd get somebody like, it's sun glare, it's, oh, I'm a professional photographer, it's this, it's that, thinking, in the mindset of, oh, well, nothing could possibly be outside of 3D. Well, it's this, it's that. And it's like, no, it's not. Trust me, I see all these things too. And when you really dissect it, it wouldn't make exactly that kind of a picture or that kind of a color, it's little nuances that the difference of, and if I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. We've joked and laughed about that a lot in private about how, well, you were showing me these pictures, and I'm like, well, obviously it's real, because it wouldn't, if it was just a glare, it wouldn't also mix in this color, it wouldn't also mix in this shape. It's just little things like that a 3D mind has no fucking clue or concept of even. They just couldn't get it if they tried to.
Well, no, if someone's not ready to see, though, they're not going to see. They won't. They will find anything. When they're not ready, they will find anything. They'll say, oh, it's lens glare, or it's this, or it's that. Because they're still so stuck in their logical mind. They have to figure it out. To me, it's just kind of, it's been a process. The pictures have been a process, because when it first started, it was it started out as just a faint symbol in the sky. And then it was a green orb, and then it was a red, and then it was a blue, and so they just came. Sorry, here you go. They just became more prominent in the pictures over time. And I know at the beginning when I was posting my pictures, people would be like, they just gave me a hard time, and it was like, you know what? Like, no, I know what this is. I know it's not lens glare, because I feel what this is. I know what it is because I feel. So when people post pictures in the groups saying, can someone tell me what this is? My reply is always, what does it feel to you? How does it feel to you? You know what it is, because that's for you. You're going to put yourself out there, you go by feeling. And my pictures have totally taken, like, since my son got me a new camera for my birthday. Wow, just amazing stuff that I capture now. But yeah, it's just as far as orbs and the colors and stuff that you pick up on camera, for people taking these pictures themselves, just go by how does it feel to you. Get out of the logical mind. If you stick in, you're staying with the logical mind, you're not going to go very far. You can't go far. You can't experience different dimensions with logical mind. There's no place for it there. You're going to go crazy trying to figure shit out. So yeah, sorry, Larry, go ahead.
Sorry, I froze there for a second, but Raquel, and we've laughed about this, some of the shit that they'll come up with, that it's this or that, I mean, they'll come up with such the most ridiculous things that even if you were capturing all UFOs on camera, it wouldn't even be as wild as some of the shit that they're making up that it is instead. It's like, oh, it's anything, it's this, it's not a UFO in the sky, it's a silent helicopter that doesn't need to gas up going in a circle and doing dodges and turns and twists for 8 hours. It's now in a weird motion. I mean, it's in blinking all these different colors. It's just the shit that they make up with is more far out than anything you could think of. And it's right, it's their fear, it's their 3D mind not wanting to accept that. And it's just it imprisons us. It's these blockages. I had a clearing session with a guy I call my guru, that Jason Wilson and I use Jeff with him before the show, and it's these blockages, these chains that keep us bind like that. You know what I mean? And with people like us, like I know, probably before you're awakening, you just never really thought about it. You did your own thing. If somebody mentioned something like this, you'd probably be like, okay, well, whatever, that's probably true. But then all of a sudden it kicks into gear for us. But some of these people are stuck in that level even lower than we've ever been at in our lives, where they're binded completely by 3D, completely by work. What am I going to have for dinner? What am I going to watch after work? What am I going to, am I going to watch Dancing with the Stars? What time am I going to go to bed? They're never living in the now moment. It's always this, and this, and then when they get to this, they're thinking about that. And it's just people, and I don't know what to say except right in the groups, of course, is people slandering people. I don't care what it is you post, short of something that's offensive, like towards a child or something just way out of line. I don't care if you posted a speck of real dirt and said, oh, this is my guide. For anybody to come out there and start in with negative bullshit and this and this and this, well, it's not you. It's not you that's the issue. It's something within that person. And they don't realize how hurtful it is, because we're kind of human too. And even though you got 100 great kudos, you get 2 people that are jerks, and it's like, Jesus Christ, it's like they go on. You set the trend, though, in a way, because check it out, right? You posted all that stuff, right? And you notice how now people are left and right capturing this stuff, right, and posting it. And doesn't it kind of feel good to see that others are out there posting that, and you're like, yeah, I can relate. I've caught that too and see that too,
Well, yeah, it's awesome, but I also totally understand where these, naysayers or negative people are coming from, because like I said, like when someone's not ready to see, they're not going to see. I always, I would say, like with my son, I could grow wings and seriously pick him up and start flying, and he'd say, cut that shit out, Mom, you don't have wings, you can't fly, because he's not ready to see. So, I understand. It's like I used to get a bit defensive, and I used to get upset, yeah, when people hassled me because of the pictures and stuff or were negative. But now it's just I understand, because just because you don't understand what, your logical mind can't dissect or figure out what's the reason why something's happening, it doesn't mean that it's not happening to that person. We're all at different levels. So you may not be experiencing it now, but chances are you will. Keep the course, stay the course, and you probably will. I know I have had some people that were really really negative towards me in the beginning and stuff, and now they're friends of mine. So it's just, I guess at the time they weren't quite there yet, and then they started moving ahead a little bit, and then they realized, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm experiencing this too, and I'm capturing this too. And so yeah, when everything when someone's ready, right, not before. So I don't know, I just don't I don't take anything personally anymore, because it's not about me.
Yeah, and I've really noticed just in the short time I've known you, it seems like forever, knowing your soul, you really got to that point where you understand where they're coming from, and you don't take it personally. And I agree with what you're saying, about your friends, and then of course you've also got, like, Janice in your life and your mom that are through your, they're coming along too in that process, but yet you're not making the mistake necessarily that I made in badgering them, right? You're letting it take their pace. At first, I'd be like, well, you got to listen, you got to do this, you got to do that. Oh my God, this is going on. And then I didn't know when to stop and shut my mouth and let leave well enough alone, because I was way up here, and they were just even one little tiny breakthrough they'd make, I'd be like, well, yeah, it's because of this, it's because of this, it's because of this, and I can go, how I can go off on a rant stroll, and and these people, it's like, okay, wait, calm down, and it's like even those books, a lot of the great books I've read have said that all you're doing by doing that is we're doing ourselves a disservice in our growth, and we're doing that loved one a disservice in that growth by hammering that home. Let them be who they are, and there will come a time. Love them and let them come to you, the questions. Hence, let it come to you, And I think you've probably done a better job of it than I have, as far as, and I hear what your son's saying about the wings. I know he could probably reach out and feel them and go, oh, get rid of those. And it's like, exactly. And that's the best example I could ever think of to tell somebody of. You could show them it right there, and then they're still, if they're not ready for it, they're not ready for it. And fear will take them, and blockages will take them, and give them any other fucking reason you could ever even dream to hallucinate, to think of, than the reality of what it is that's going on. So I agree. And if all you can do is give people love, and if you badger them, yeah, it's like, okay, well, don't you see it? Don't you see it? Don't you see it? And I'm sure it's driven enlightened people in generations past crazy. And it's just, we're fortunate to be here in this time, right, where we have all this connection with people, and we can really see progress being made on this front on a daily basis, just in the groups. And that's another thing I want to ask you, because I was talking with Tyler Beetebach and Jason Wilson about that too, in Victoria Pleiadian. Have you noticed the groups, kind of the people that are kind of shitty and trying to start stuff, that's kind of that's kind of stopped? And you notice in the big Pleiadian group, right, there's several different conversations going on. It's like there's something for everybody on there. Oh, it's absolutely. Like a community. And the naysayers, there's a little banter back and forth, but us Pleiadians actually started drama before our ascension. And so, but don't you think it's kind of calmed a little bit? Or then again, too, we could just be going through a phase where it's calm, and these energy shifts are all big steps in and of themselves. None of them are one big great bang. But I just feel like, do you feel a sense that things have gotten better with people getting shitty with each other?
Absolutely. There's not as many assholes, or not as many people acting like assholes that I've noticed lately. We all seem to be pulling together quite nicely.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's like, it's getting to the point where it's going to be harder and harder to do talk shows, because we're all coming out of consciousness and knowing it all. It's like the healing I had before the show. It was just like there was nothing I could really say. It was just great. And yet none of the attention was on the person doing it. It was just all through spirit and all knowing. And people are, and even some of the people that are assholes and, be in that way, it's like you can, a kind word or two can calm some of those people down. And it's just amazing how it gets them to see real quick how they were being. And, it's just been a really, really great process. And, it's just amazing. And I'm really thankful for meeting all our star brothers and sisters. And it's just amazing how we all bring something different to the table, and great. And we're kind of bringing these experiences back to each other as one big creator type of experience. And I just think it's been great. And it's kind of nice to see the lake through the woods finally,
Oh, it is. It's awesome. I mean, just reconnecting with soul family. You just, like, there's so many wonderful people that I've met, and you just instantly, as soon as you meet them, you know that they're your soul family. Because you know that you've met them before. You know that you know them, and it's just amazing to be able to connect with the love and the support, the compassion. I mean, I have met so many beautiful, beautiful people. They're amazing. You included, Larry.
Well, thank you, you too. And I have to preface that by saying this isn't some 1970s hippie new age type of a get caught up in just the idea cult type of thing. This is really the awakening for humanity, and the resonation, like you said, the resonation with these people. You talk to all these people in the groups, and at worst, the people you connect with, their stories are 80% just like yours, if not 100%. I mean, yes, some of the things have changed. Your ascension symptoms, are a little more, just a tad bit more wilder than most. But at the same time, right? Okay, growing up, right? Most of us star seeds. I don't know, something was missing, but yet kind of driving us crazy because we really didn't know what the hell was missing, or that we even knew something was missing. And yet, and the addiction issues and things like that, and it just longing for something. And it's not the sad thing. And let me touch on the addiction issue too, because I had a terrible, terrible painkiller addiction, and still like my cigarettes and alcohol, and here in Oregon a little bit of weed once in a while. And it's just that we're always looking for that something to satisfy us. And what they don't realize is, like, like you know, your guides come in and help, you know, help you get off all that stuff, right, and everything. But addiction centers are money makers, treatment centers are money makers. That's not stuck in the system. That's not to say that there's not people in there that care, but even the ones that do are bound by a system too. And the problem is you couldn't even begin to start to explain to them the starseed addiction issue, because it's not like that with us. It's not like, and I mentioned this on another show, it's not like Uncle Bob or Uncle Bill was a drunk for years. He quit. It was hard. He went through withdrawals. He quit, but then he found something else to occupy his time. It isn't like that with us when we're stuck in that addiction.
No, it's completely different.
More, but it's like that, and it's not like, okay, we quit, we get off the withdrawals, whatever. Before the awakening, we're always, there's nothing going to replace that except for ascending or going into the stars. It just wasn't going to happen, and you know, I think it's important people realize that, and I did a little show on my own about that, but it's just that always that longing, because we're bored easy. You know what it is, girl? We're bored here really easy. We could, you know, we could figure out the most complicated thing, the cosmos, but yet, you know, people like Tesla, Einstein, you know, they couldn't tie their shoes till they were 8 or 9. I couldn't tie my shoes 8 or 9, but I had like 30 years worth of presidents memorized, and it's really just the mundane things in 3D. And doesn't it really show? You were mentioning spelling, right? Yeah. Like, and I've talked with Michelle Walling of in 5D about this too. All of us, you know, great spellers before. It's like our spelling's gone out the window. Our time schedules have gone out the window. Our sense of time has gone out the window. I mean, all this 3D shit is like, it's basically just kind of, we're just kind of walking away from it, like I became a vegetarian just because my body wanted to. You know, you got off of heroin because your body wanted to. It's not like it was really a sacrifice. You know what I mean?
No, it wasn't even something I consciously did. Like, everything changed. I don't eat meat. I don't eat dairy products. I don't eat fast food. I like, everything is totally changed. But yeah, it wasn't conscious. I mean, your body knows what to do, you know, to heal, and especially like when higher self steps in, it's you know, it's not a chore to, you know, it's not a struggle. Like, okay, I got a year clean, whoa, and I'm working on it and going to meetings or whatever, or it's not a struggle to get off meat or fast food, because you know, your body's getting healthy again, your body's getting young again, your body knows what it needs. So it's really not a sacrifice. You're just, it's enjoyable, and you just listen to your body. But as far as the time goes, I find that the more you connect to higher self, I mean, higher self is outside of time, right? So the more you're connecting with higher self, you have no sense of time. I know that there's been times where I've been sitting here, and you know, and my mom will go out, and I'll think she'll be out for like 3 hours, and she'll come back, and they'll be like, "What? Did you forget something?" To me, it was only 5 minutes, but you know, so that's what I find, that when you're really connected to higher self, you know, you have no concept of time whatsoever. Some people are talking about, you know, losing time or whatever, and it's kind of like, you know, in meditation or in creating, when you're connecting to higher self, like that's common. I think that's common for a lot of people.
Yeah, too, and lately too, it seems like they're throwing a curveball in the time issue too, because the last two shows I did, one with Jason and Tyler, right, hour and a half respectively, and it seemed like I was on the frickin' air with both of them for like 3 hours, and they both thought so too. It wasn't like a drag of 3 hours, right? It seemed like 3 hours, but yet it was just an hour, whereas like before, you know, 3 hours seems like it was an hour, but it just goes to show you that it really is, we're in the now moment, and I think that was part of that lesson for me, having that happen to me the other day with the time thing go in the reverse, yet it wasn't like a drag.
Yeah.
It just, you know, it just was. It just was, and you know, I just think that our bodies are just doing this. And you mentioned getting younger, right? It's like all of the starseeds, whether it's, you know, the prominent people, like people that are the admins of these Pleiadian groups, right? Right. Whether it's you, whether it's, I'm not going to put myself on that, but all, you know, all you ladies, the goddesses that admin these groups, and the guys that do too. It's like physically, we're all looking younger. We're all like 3D, what you would call hot, gorgeous, like I said, except for myself included in that. But yet our bodies, right? Our bodies are aching. And then I'm like thinking, okay, our bodies inside are falling apart, but we're looking younger and better. So it's got to be just that it's the transition, right? Wouldn't you think that aching is just kind of transitioning that 3D body into, I don't know, ascension or whatever? But don't you think it seems like that? It's like you're looking at yourself like, damn, I look good, but shit, I feel like hell inside.
Well, I think it's, I mean, we're developing muscles now. We're getting more flexible. I know softer skin, softer hair grows faster. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, but in order for, like, especially for the, the bone changes, the structural changes of your body, I mean, I know this is kind of a bizarre one. I don't know if people have experienced this yet, but all my, like my feet, all my toes, except for my big toe, have gotten really long. Like, oh my God, it's harsh. But I can feel them. I felt them growing, and that's pretty damn painful. And I don't know when that's going to stop, and I'm hoping it's going to be soon. But I'm just I try not to give it much thought to what the final outcome or whatever. But I know that your body is just our bodies are changing, and so that just our bodies know as far as our diets are all changing. I know with me, I wasn't active for 20 years, right? I was overweight, I wasn't active, and now I hardly ever went outside. Now I can't get enough nature. My body's moving all the time. I found myself doing yoga. That started at the beginning of my process. I've never studied yoga. I don't know any yoga moves, but yet my body does yoga. So yeah, we are definitely, but in order to make the changes that our body, needs, we need to really listen to our body. Because I know for a long time, I went to doctors, I was on medications, I didn't watch, I didn't care what I ate crap. I was really out of touch with my body. If something was going on with my body, I'd go outside of myself to my doctor and say, okay, well, what's going on? Because I didn't know my body. So it's been a process too of really getting to know my body and listening to my body and learning, what I need now. And yeah, it just that's one of the most important things is really listen to your body. Like your sleep patterns are going to change. Sometimes you're not going to sleep. Like I didn't sleep for the first 10 days, and then other times I slept more. But I think we just got to kind of lose that idea that we're supposed to sleep at a certain time, or we're supposed to eat this much, or we're supposed to eat at this time. Just lose that stuff and just realize when when you're tired, you rest. It doesn't matter. And I find too that now I don't seem to need as much sleep as I used to, and I go to bed early and wake up even before it's light out. So yeah, I think that's the most important thing I can say is to really get in touch with your body and listen to your body. It knows what it needs.
And you hear that a lot too, and of course we've always heard that, especially in this awakening thing, get in touch with your body, get in touch with your body, get in touch with your body. But it's also too, for an individual, that advice you give them that, but until you get full of that feeling of getting in touch with your body, it sounds like a cliche to your mind. Okay, get in touch with your body. Yeah, but it's so true. If you just listen, just feel. It's a feel. It's not something you've got to study. It's not something you've got to get advice on. Your body will guide you to really go. Just kind of get out of that 3D mind and just let your mind relax and get into your body, taking you away from that. And you know what? If you still want to have a glass of milk or whatever, or eat some meat, okay, do that. Your body will guide you to when it's time to stop doing that. I'm not saying go out and be a glutton and eat all kinds of GMO fast food, which, yeah, me too. I just thank God it kicked into me and I couldn't start it. I couldn't stand that stuff anymore. You listen to your body and don't overanalyze it though. Don't think, well, is it saying this? Is it saying that? Just let the flow go. Let yourself flow into the consciousness of higher dimensional frequencies. And there you go. That sounds like a rock and lock and cliche, but really, no, it's just about where you're at and your growth, and go from there and just go within. There's another cliche, just go within, but we really mean that when we say that. We're not, some guru from the 70s with our head in the clouds, trying to be a new messiah. We really feel that way, and it's just, letting your body pick up that flow. And we're, a lot of us are very fortunate for having that happen in our lives, because I know I never could have quit some of the things I did without that happening. I mean, it's not like, oh God, I'm beating my chest. I kicked heroin, or I quit eating meat, or whatever. It just happened because my body was ready to do it, right? And that's how it went down. And you can always tell the people that really have done it like that, like you, right? You don't sit there and beat your chest and go, oh, I quit eating meat, or I quit doing this, or I quit cold turkey right away. I mean, there's always you hear that, you hear that tone a lot of times when I've heard people, like women have told me they're older. Yeah, I used to do drugs and party and all that, and boy, when I was pregnant, I quit it. And that's great. When you're pregnant, you shouldn't do any of that. But then you'll hear some of them say like, well, I quit doing this. Yep, I just quit cold turkey right away, and boy, and you hear the ego tone in that, right? And it's like, I don't give a shit what you did. I'm listening to your tone and your intent. And it's never what you say, it's how you say it, and it's never what you do, it's how you do it. So it's just a feel. It's just we need to go more on feel and consciously vibing with everything. And if that sounds weird, anybody that would argue against that, they know it inside. They're just mad at themselves because they're not at that growth level yet. But that's okay. That's okay, because we've all got our own paths, and we just need to go in and not you don't use any judgment. That's one thing for me, is I lost the ability to completely judge. I couldn't judge anybody if my life depended on it, but yet I understand all possibilities, so I'm nobody's fool. I mean, I realize I could be talking to Hitler or Joseph Stalin or Mother Teresa or Gandhi. I mean, and all points in between. But you can't judge in any now moment. You can only go off of what's presented to you in that now moment.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just it's just and that's just how it is, and it's hard to put it in any other words. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, Larry. You keep cutting
For,
out. Hello?
yeah, you are. Yeah, hello. Are you there?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Ground control to Major Raquel. Yeah, see, that's the thing too, is our energies will do this with devices. It's crazy, and there's a lot of stories on that too. So yeah, exactly. And I think that's about it. And I got to say, Raquel, I'm looking really forward to working with you and doing this, addressing some of these topics with you and bringing people on. And I'd like to encourage everybody out there too that's listening to this and got on the broadcast. I don't care who you are. If you've got something to say, if you've got a story to tell, contact Raquel or myself, and we can go on in a moment's notice. Usually, if Raquel and I aren't busy, I mean, it takes a few minutes to get this going. We don't exist in time here in the PEP. The only reason I did an event for this show was because it was the first one Raquel and I were doing together. But typically, we won't do that unless it's a really big subject. We'll just go with the flow, and we'll just then send it to people later on in the Facebook groups. We just don't operate out of time, and encourage everybody. This is our time to do this. We don't want to hear from David Icke. We don't want to hear from Andrew Bartzis. We don't want to hear from all these people, Cabals. We don't want to hear, they had their time, they said what they said. If they've got anything new to say, they'll tell it to somebody else. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from the star seeds out there. We want to hear from the people in the groups, because you're important, because it's your time to shine. It's all of our time to shine. And that's not some bullshit cliche. That's coming straight from pure consciousness heart. We want to hear from you. We don't want to hear from whoever the hell, the Pope, David Icke, it doesn't matter. It's, whatever. I mean, if they got something to say, we'll entertain that too. But this is your time. Their time was, they set the bar for us, and they were the pioneers, and this is our time to shine and our time to be the pioneers. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to tackling anything that anybody wants to talk about. You want to come on here, and as long as it's not hate oriented, but if you've got a concern, we'll talk about it with you. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, extraterrestrials, whatever. The King of Timbuktu. That's what we're gonna do. And I'll tell you what, it's been a real everything for a reason, Raquel. It's been a real challenge getting us hooked up on here with just all
Yeah,
kinds of little glitches with
yeah.
tablets, with shit going wrong, not being able to connect. And I want to say this too while on here. And this was a really nasty thing that somebody did. Somebody went and probably some spiteful people from a group I won't mention on Facebook that Raquel and I both had some dealings with, and some people set up some dummy accounts of Raquel, and called her the angel of darkness or whatever, and it's got her face on there, and when you find, not on Facebook, excuse me, this was on Google Plus. Okay, there's some dummy Google accounts out there with Raquel Toombs' name, and it's even got her picture, and it says crazy shit. It's got a picture of her. Looks like it's doctored up. It looks like Raquel's been out at the bar all night and on a binge. But those are not ones she created. So I just want to tell everybody out there to use discernment, because that is not her. And it's no judgment, but it's really sad that somebody had to resort to that. And I had to say that, Raquel, because
Yeah.
people need to know that. And
Yeah, well, also, it's happened to me where somebody has in the past made sent a video to my friend saying watch Raquel's video, and I guess it was a virus. But I'd heard this was back when I was in an old group. Then I'd heard after that it happened to a couple other people. So word to the wise, if you get a video of your friend or anything messaged to you from someone on your friends list, if it's not from them, then it's probably not theirs. It's kind of it's shitty, and it's sad that that someone would do that. But I haven't been the smartest. I have given my password to more than one person at one time, because I'm not very good with computers, and it was easier to say, okay, here, can you just, as I trusted these people, can you just go on there and do that for me? So definitely, it's been a definite learning experience, that's for sure.
yeah, it has. And you know what? It's so funny, and not to mention that group, but the way we both ended our association with that group was over reasons I don't even know for myself yet, and yours were not to get into it, but yours were equally as bizarre. And I think it was really, sometimes spirit will come in and, well, not break free will, but I think that they'll guide us away from there. And at first we're like, what the hell happened? But it was really a beneficial thing to have happen. And yeah, I can speak to that. Raquel, is very loving and trusting. In fact, we were trying to work her situation out earlier, and she said, well, here's my password if you need it. I said, no, that's not what I want. I said, don't even give me that. I'm not even reading that. I'm not looking at it. I can't even see it. I can't even remember it now. But yeah, so if Raquel has a new Google page tomorrow, and she's growing horns and a beard and breathing fire, it wasn't, but yeah, I'm like, no, girl, don't give me that. No. I mean, because it's just, yeah, and you never know. Most people, it would be cool. I would do that too if I didn't have any other options, and in that situation. But you just never know, and those are learning experiences and meant to get us the hell away from a certain situation that's not part of our vibe. And isn't it funny though, just to end on that note, is that, didn't you feel, or at least I did, but you can't judge in any moment, didn't you kind of have that little bit of a hunch inside about them towards the end, before the association ended? But yet you don't judge, right? You can only take shit as it comes in that now moment. You can't get caught up in, well, they think this, or they're doing this, or that. You can't really judge till it happens. But didn't you, now that you look back on it, don't you think your innate kind of felt the writing on the wall?
My spidey senses were tingling, yeah. But I'm so grateful for everything. Looking back, everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to, and I'm so grateful for that group, because I was invited to the group. I didn't go out and look for them. They found me. I don't know exactly how, but it was wonderful in the beginning, and yeah, things got pretty harsh towards the end, but all for a reason, right? And I think that a lot of it had to do with also the fact that I wasn't happy there anymore. But I know for me, because that was the first group and only group that I was in at the time, I wasn't just going to leave on my own accord. I think that that was kind of my safety, and that was my home for so long. So everything happened. I think that was just it worked out exactly the way it was supposed to anyway. So I'm grateful for all the time I spent there, and especially grateful that, you know, that you gave me the opportunity for the Canadian Pleiadian pretty well the same day or the next day after I was kicked out of that group. So.
Yeah, yeah. I think, venting to you about what happened. You're like, well, no shit. I just got kicked. You know, something happened, and I'm gone out of there too. And you know what? You really kind of made me think about something too, hon, because it wasn't quite the opportunity they gave you, but they gave me my first opportunity to come on air before I started doing interviews, you know, and they interviewed me about my experiences, and I'm very grateful to that too. But I felt the same way you did, right? Like I'd post there and stuff like that, and I felt that vibe, but I wasn't going to just leave, right? I was going to let it, like always, play itself out, take every now moment as it came, and then boom, it happened, and I still don't even know what the hell really happened, right? And it just, you know, everything happened for a reason, and I'm grateful to that. And I really love your attitude for looking back on it with fondness instead of like, oh, well, being bitter, oh, well, you know, fuck those motherfuckers, they screwed me over and all that, right? But you look back on it like, yeah, it was a great experience, and, you know, as time goes by, you forget about the bad. You forget about the bad things about it, right? And then Canadian Pleiadian came along, and it's just like it was one of the moments that clicked for me when we were talking. I'm like, listen, you've got the moxie to do this. Take this group. I need, you know, I need, you know, I need somebody strong there. It's perfect. The time was ripe for that to happen, and everything happens for a reason, and that's proof. That's proof that it's not a cliche. All that shit happened for a reason, and if we get stuck in just criticizing them and all that, well, that just takes our eye off the prize, keeps us stuck in that. But yeah, you know what? I'm really grateful to it too, because it gave me that opportunity, right? And you know, and you too, right? They just found you, and then I was in that group one day and saw you, and I was like, okay, well, I get drawn to these people. You know, it's an energy thing that, you know them, like you said, from the past, and well, and here we are, and so it goes, and onward and upward, and all that, and you know, I like I said, I'm just really grateful. And do you? Lady Raquel, before we do get into the wrapping up phase of this show, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about? Of course, I'm going to defer to you to, you know, give people a shout out you want to give a shout out to, but as far as any topics, is there anything that's really on your mind right now you wanted to hit on?
No, I don't think so tonight, because I'm actually kind of bagged right now. Our first show.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
No, I think that's good, and I think the only thing that we're gonna ask out of you that we do, everybody that's, you know, everybody that's on the show, why don't you go ahead and why don't you let everybody know, just in a, you know, paragraph or two out of your mouth, where they can find Raquel Toombs at on Facebook? What predominant, you're in a ton of groups, but what predominant groups are you in, and, you know, where can they find you?
On my Facebook page.
Yes, I was going to, yeah. Yes, Raquel Toombs' timeline. Imagine that. You can find Raquel Toombs.
No,
yes, on her page. That's kind of a redundant question.
Canadian Pleiadian and the mothership, main Pleiadian, and yeah, those are the two basically that I'm in all the time. So.
Yeah, you're pretty much in your zone doing your thing in the mothership group and also in the Canadian Pleiadian, and of course all of us regional admins too are also a part of all the other 20 regional groups that you know, I'll spare Raquel. I was going to give her a little hazing and make her recite all 20 or 25 of them, but we won't do that tonight. But the main thing where you can find Raquel rocking it, if you really want to see Raquel rocking it, of course her timeline, but Canadian Pleiadian, which she's the head admin in, running that group, and she's also part of the great admin team of the mothership group of Leah Shapiro's Mothership Pleiadians group, Leah Shapiro Alien Tribe, and I'm not going to go through all the admins' names in there because there's too many, and I'm going to kind of fading too, but, you know, I wanted to thank Raquel for coming on, and of course I'm your delicious host to host from coast to coast with the most to most, keeping it real, the reflection of perfection, the #1 selection, the man of the hour with all the power, too sweet to be sour, who still knows how to get down in the back of the shack where it's all at in the city with the nitty gritty, always looking damn pretty. And you can find me on the Fringe Thinkers, my original group I created years ago. It's kind of, I like to call it Fringe Thinkers, Pleiadians with an Attitude. That's the kind of the group I let a little bit more go in. And you can also find me in the Great Leah Shapiro Alien Tribes Pleiadians group, and of course Canadian Pleiadian time to time. And give a shout out also to Pacific Northwest Pleiadians, which also Raquel's an admin in. And that's about it. We're on Facebook. You find me on my timeline. I'd like to give a shout out, of course, to N5D.com, BodySoulMindSpirit.com, the great Greg Prescott, and Michelle Walling, who I have the opportunity of, doing some marketing for, radio hosting from time to time with them, and they've just been a great influence in my life, and much love to them. Much love to the great Sif Gunner's daughter of Icelandic Pleiadian, and also a fellow admin of ours in Pleiadians, Jason Wilson, Judith Savala, Victoria Pleiadian, Kiki Polak, on and on and on, and it don't stop till the break of dawn. And I think, Raquel, I think that's a wrap. Thank you for coming on the show. And you can catch the rebroadcast. And you can catch the rebroadcast of this, which if you're listening, you probably already are if you weren't listening right now. But no matter wherever you go, there you are in this never beginning nor ending now moment. And I'd like to wish everybody unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness, the full spectrum of the rainbow combined to the non-blinding white light of all that is. And on behalf of the Pleiadian Nation, that's a wrap. Peace.